which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we've got Kevin Wilson with us.
Absolutely. Yep, I'm here. And Andrew is here in the little picture in the video. You can see him here. He decided that he wasn't going to get dressed today and didn't want everyone to see him as a mess, so didn't want to do the video. That's why I'm assuming.
Yeah. I'm going for the hobo pantless look today. No, my internet's been acting up so much. We're actually running the stream through Kevin's connection today, so hopefully we won't have the issue we had yesterday where guys lost me halfway through the show. But today is our talk of the town. Today is Tuesday for those of you keeping track of days of the week. I wonder how many people actually are keeping track of the days of the week at this point. I'm not sure how many are. Kevin, are you tracking the days of the week?
I think Andrew Cuomo is announcing it during the press conferences now, so that's what I'm looking to for guidance. He just tells me everything now.
He just gives you everything you need to know. You know, the date, the time, day of the week, how to think, how he's going to spend your money, whatever.
All of it. What would we do without dear leader?
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I saw a couple days ago, somebody posted a question asking, what is the most useless thing you purchased this year? And one of the top responses was a 2020 planner. So I thought it was not only clever, but probably true for most people that use one of those like hand planners, those agendas. There's probably just a lot of empty spaces so far.
Yeah. You know, if we had switched to George Eastman's calendar, this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't need time zones either. So, and I'm a big fan of that, but I think most people probably disagree with me on that one, or they maybe they just don't understand where I'm coming from. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, you guys can jump on the YouTube channel, search Andrew C. Hollister, go to the Radio Free New York channel there, and we talked about whether or not time zones are still relevant with the technology we have today. And it's an interesting conversation. We talk about some different calendar options. But I think for most people at this point, calendars are irrelevant. Days of the week are irrelevant. It's possible time of day is becoming irrelevant for people. Like they're just like, oh, the sun's up and the sun's going down.
Sweatpants time all day.
Yep, it's sweatpants time. Yep, absolutely. So there's some interesting things though that we're going to talk about today. One of them being that some government services that you used to have to be present for in person, you can now do virtually, and some of them you can do by mail too. So I'll tell you guys the one by mail that I thought was interesting. You can now, and this is at least in Monroe County, I don't know if all counties are doing this, make certain amendments to your pistol permit by mail. So before you had to go to the county clerk's office, which means not only do you got to drive downtown, but you got to pay for parking, and then go wait in line, pay, I think, like a $3 fee or something like that to make an amendment to your pistol permit. Now apparently you can just mail them in and they'll do that, which saves not only time, but I would like to say it could make things greener, but now I'm not sure. What do you think, Kevin? Do you think the carbon footprint on mailing something to the county clerk's office is smaller than driving over there physically? I don't know.
Probably a little bit less. I have two questions about that though. Is one, would it be possible to do that over the internet? And two, why on earth haven't we been doing this before?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, for those of you listening to the show, you probably know this about me, but if not, you're about to find out. I think the pistol permits are awful, and we shouldn't have them to begin with. So step one for me, just eliminate the pistol permits, and now we've really saved the environment and given people their freedoms back. But if we're operating with the thought that yes, we have pistol permits, I don't see why we couldn't just submit this information online. My guess is that the government just doesn't have a system in place for it. And if they did put a system in place for it, then probably they could let go of a few employees, which would save us a bunch of tax dollars. Government never wants to get smaller. They need to get bigger. They need to, quote unquote, provide jobs.
But say, Andrew, why are you trying to get people to lose their jobs?
Exactly. And that's the thing. They'd be like, we can't do this. We'd lose jobs. And, it's kind of interesting. If you look at the private sector, they're always looking for ways to become more efficient. And sometimes that means jobs lost. But in the private sector, it's about efficiency, doing things quickly, doing things like more cost effective. Not saying that happens all the time, but general concept. Whereas with government, it always seems to be like, no, we'll do things as slow and as expensive as we can possibly do them. And then if somebody suggests that we're not doing a good job, we can talk about all the jobs that would be lost if we did it otherwise. So definitely two very different ideologies.
No, for sure. And, I don't know. To me, I'd be like, well, why wouldn't we want to save taxpayers' money, make things easier, make it easier for you to communicate? I mean, if that's something you want to do, communicate with the government about what's on your pistol permit or anything else for that matter. If you want to, I mean, like we already have, like if you want to make a change to your driver's license, like there's easy ways to do that online.
Yeah, absolutely. I think pistol permit should be the same way. I mean, the pistol permit process is so backwards because you show up, you fill out all of this paperwork, and then you bring it to the counter. They review the paperwork. They have you correct it if it's wrong. And then they sit there in front of you and hand type all the paperwork into their system anyways.
So
and then they take your permit. Yep, and then they take your permit if you have a paper permit like I do, and then they put it in a typewriter and then type that same information again physically onto your permit. So it's just a really broken system that shouldn't exist. It's very archaic. I think their most recent upgrade was probably from stone tablets.
Well, that's it's progress. Government takes time, Andrew, and we should be thankful for that.
Yeah. I suspect, yeah. So they do have plastic pistol permits now. That was new. I don't have one. Part of the reason being you have to have every firearm you own listed on your permit, and the plastic permits have less space. And I can neither confirm nor deny, but I suspect that my permit I'd be carrying around more than one card, and that would be a very big inconvenience for me. So I don't know how the process works right now. If you mail in an amendment to your permit, how are they putting those amendments on your permits when you're not physically there? And then the question is, if you did get inspected, I guess, I've never had an officer ask for my permit or look at it, but if they did inspect your permit and the pistol you had on you was not on your permit, what situations does that put you in? I believe that's a felony in New York. So my little itty bitty step towards getting more freedom back would be make it so that this change is permanent. Maybe get it online and make it so you don't have your pistols listed on your permit. those would be like small steps towards individual freedom.
Yeah, like
in terms
couldn't
of
we
pistol
just get
permits.
like if we must have it on there, can't we just get like a QR code or something, and they could just like scan it and be like, oh, okay, this is what you got, this is what's in the database. Like if we must have it on there, which I'm not saying we should.
I don't think government is quite that advanced, Kevin.
Oh goodness!
I
Can we at least have some like
too
bare
hard
expectation that they get with the 21st century? Is that too much to ask?
I would love to see it happen, Kevin. Love to see it happen. Guys, you are listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
College Assistance Plus has worked with thousands of families, saving them millions of dollars. It can be stressful choosing the right college, but we're here to help. CA Plus will guide you from college visits to college graduation and through every step in between. Each student and family situation is different, and we work to accommodate those specific needs. Call today for a free family meeting, 585-582-1846, or visit collegeassistanceplus.com for more information. College is expensive. College Assistance Plus can help.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We've got Kevin Wilson here with us. And today is Tuesday, so today is the talk of the town. I would give you guys an update on COVID-19 with the latest New York numbers, but it looks like maybe they weren't published. The numbers match what they were yesterday, at least with the tool I was using. So either we had 0 new cases, 0 deaths, 0 everything, which I think is extremely unlikely, or somebody forgot to put in the updated numbers, and I'm thinking that's much more likely. So I don't have those numbers for you, but what I do have is, a new feature to the government. So, the government, if you think of it as a extremely costly app that constantly goes over budget and is buggy and broken all the time. They've added this new feature where you can get married virtually. So Kevin, I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah, so this story came out a couple days ago where the state is now moving to allow marriage ceremonies to take place via video chat, via Zoom meetings. So, and it's funny because we were just talking about this a couple weeks ago when we had Jose Pio on the show, the Rochester City Council person. We were talking about like marriage certificates and things like that, and how like you're kind of stuck for a little bit because the city and the county systems that usually process those are shut down. But now it looks like you don't need to have your officiant in person to be able to get married. You're able to just do it all online. And you're able to do a video ceremony, which is, again, one of those other things where I'm like, well, why couldn't we have had this before? What was the barrier before?
Yeah, well, I mean, we know what the barrier was. The barrier was government, which I think
Right.
In many ways, coronavirus, despite how bad it has been, despite the people who have died, and I don't want to minimize these deaths or people think that I don't think that's a sensitive topic. No, it's terrible that these people have died. But there are some good things that we're seeing out of coronavirus, and I think it's just as important to talk about the bad things. I think we should also be talking about some of the good things that are coming out of this. And some of the good things that are coming out of this is that we're seeing how bad government has been as a result. People are sitting here, and you're right, we had the conversation with Jose, and we talked about, marriage licenses are suspended. And the question was, why are we asking government for permission to get married? Why is government involved in this process at all? Why are they involved in this transaction? Not just that, you had to pay a fee to the government to get married.
Right.
And I personally look at marriage as an agreement between two or even more individuals, depending on your arrangement, although government gets in the way of that as well. Many states have laws about having more than one marital partner. But I think that, we have a situation here where people are hopefully questioning, why am I paying the government for permission to get married?
Yeah, right. So why not just if you're adults and you want to get married and have that contract, just declare it, tell the government that is what you have done, and boom, it's done. What it is, you should be able to just print that off of a website and send it in. Should be all there is to it. Why
yeah,
are we even...
or even easier, like we shouldn't even have to print it off. If we had this awesome NewYorkState.gov app, which I see Jay says in the comments, would only cost $749.99 in the App Store.
That's fine.
You could just log in and say, like, yes, I have voluntarily engaged in an agreement of marriage with this individual, and you both submit it online, and boom, you're done. Or like I said, I mean, to me, marriage is an agreement between individuals that they obviously enter voluntarily. It's something they want to do, to be married. And I know there's a lot of, let's say, religious tension around this, but if somebody wanted to have more than one marital partner and everybody consented and agreed to it, I don't see why government should have the authority to restrict that either.
Yeah, right. I mean, all marriage is like, it's a contract for certain things to be able to, like get inheritances, control joint property together, which you don't really need, or have like hospital visitation rights and things like that. There's some reasons that marriage still has power in our society from a legal perspective. And there's no reason why someone couldn't draw up a legal contract for this type of thing and just say, hey, we are all adults who can legally agree to this contract. Why not? Let's roll with it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at how, say, a multi-member LLC works, it's not so different than marriage. There's an operating agreement. There's members of this organization. They can share access to finances, responsibilities, a bank account, all of these things. Probably own property together, take on debt together. The only real difference I see between like a multi-member LLC and marriage is the medical visitation rights.
Yeah, stuff like that. And you could work it out. Again, it's just a matter of let people do what they want. And, I would say that I understand why government may have a reason for wanting to document that, right? Like if something comes up in court, okay. But even then, you can have private contracts. You don't file every contract with the government either. You could just have that on hand and say, yeah, we're married, and that's what it is. It's in the safe somewhere. It's fine.
Yep.
What do we need to do?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, things you may or may not want it recorded in public record, but that could be optional. Instead of it being mandatory, having your marriage recorded publicly could be optional. I think that it could be recorded for free if there was an online system. If not, some nominal charge like $3 or $5 to cover the costs of keeping that filing system up and operating. But nothing more than that. I think that the fee with the city of Rochester is $10 or $20, and I think you need to get something from the county as well, if I recall.
Yeah, I forget. It was a while ago. And, we are getting some comments on this. Nonconformist Farmer says, whether you consider marriage to be a contract or a covenant, the government should have nothing to do with it. And they said that we're right regarding medical visitation rights. And Kevin's asking, how would you divide assets if it goes bad?
Well, that's kind of like any other agreement, right? Organizations where, once again, I kind of refer to an LLC, like a multi-membered LLC or a partnership, which are business entities. If a partner wants to exit, there's an exit strategy put in place, whether that's maybe selling shares. Depending on how the organization is set up, or taking a percentage of the assets with them when they leave. All of these are options. There's buyout options, so the main owners can, or the partner could buy out the other partner. Those are all things that could be in your marriage contract. You could set up however you want.
Right. Well, I mean, that's how prenups work, right? That's kind of what it is, right? You make that agreement, do all that stuff before, and if you don't make that type of agreement too, and you don't outline everything, that's kind of what ends up happening in court, right? That's when you get these proceedings where people figure out how to divide up assets and all that type of stuff. So that type of thing already exists. Most marriage contracts aren't that well defined anyway. But the point is that, like, again, it's not really the government's business to determine what type of arrangement that you want to make.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I see Kevin's also asking, would it be a contracted created by the two parties before marriage? Yeah, no, absolutely. That would be, the marriage is the contract. So the two parties would agree upon the contract, which is the marriage in advance, and them being married is essentially agreeing to the contract. And I bet you there'd be a whole bunch of places like Rocket Lawyer and online attorneys where you could download a pre-templated marriage contract. I'm sure you could do it with a prenup.
This is probably already a thing. Like I'm sure it is out there. Someone has thought of this already.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It probably is out there. It's probably happening. If not in the U.S., but I'm sure it's happening in the U.S. I'm sure in other countries it happens as well.
Yeah, and Jay also says, info should be kept private unless government permission is granted. Yeah, no, fair point. You can do that, and I think that should be your right to do that. Why not? I mean, marriage is really an agreement. Your private agreement between two people, and whatever that means to you, that has its own personal significance, and government doesn't need to get in the way of that. And I think that's kind of always been our argument.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So lessons learned from coronavirus: government is terribly inefficient, costs way too much money, and you have to ask for way too much permission to go about your daily lives. You guys are listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. We're looking at showers to start. By the afternoon, temperatures will be falling into the upper 30s. Could see a few peaks of sunshine in the forecast later on today, and it looks like we will see wind gusts out of the west up to 40 miles per hour. Lakeshore flood warning in effect for Wayne County that starts this afternoon and will extend through Wednesday morning. This is Samantha LaRocca for WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, this is Gary Mervis. During these difficult times, we know that many people are hurting financially with the loss of jobs and tighter finances. However, if you find yourself in a position to donate, your financial help is needed now more than ever for children and families Camp Good Day serves, as the circumstances have caused us to postpone our fundraisers and events. During this current COVID-19 pandemic, people are unfortunately still being told that they have been diagnosed with cancer. If you are able to help by donating either through our website, campgooddays.org, or by mailing in a check, it would be much appreciated. If we all do our part to get through COVID-19, I know we will come out stronger than ever.
Villa of Hope is here for you. Adults, youth, parents, grandparents, no matter who you are, we are here to respond to you and make connections to the services you need right now. How that help looks may be different from before, but we are committed to making sure we are giving you our best while keeping everyone as safe as possible. Let us help rebuild your resilience. Call 1-877-584-HOPE. That's 1-833-993-HOPE.
Hi, Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management located in Pittsford, New York. If you have more than $250,000 in savings and investments, and you've been wondering if your investments are really being handled properly, well, then it's time to at least get a second opinion.
To meet with Mr. Hamilton, call 585-381-9870 or go to HamiltonWealthManagement.com. Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hamilton Wealth Management and Securities America companies are separate entities.
As the word tells us that all things are to be done decently and in order, we all have a desire to be more organized. Get Organized has been helping their clients effectively organize their living spaces with custom closets, pantries, garage storage systems, and more for over 30 years. Get Organized can be reached online at www.closetsrochester.com or by phone at 585-223-3646. Get Organized with ClosetsRochester.com today.
Attention retirees, workers idled by closed businesses, or anyone looking for extra cash. New York licensed Alpine Manor has weekend and other part-time openings at our assisted living center in Lima. If you like working with senior citizens, our hourly positions could be just what you're looking for. Alpine Manor is a non-medical facility, so no health-related credentials are required. If you could use some cash and you're tired of TV, call 346-5880 to inquire about part-time work at Alpine Manor.
Smith Lumber in Lakeville has great gifts, including Weber grills. The grill is the most important ingredient for successful outdoor cooking. Buying expensive replacement parts every year doesn't have to be part of the outdoor grilling experience. Visit Smith Lumber and Hardware Center, Route 28 Lakeville, and check out the wide selection of Weber grills. They're beautiful grills designed to help you grill beautifully. Smith Lumber and Hardware Center in Lakeville, open daily and proudly features Weber, America's best-loved grill.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Today is our Talk of the Town, and we've got Kevin Wilson here with us.
Hello.
So, as we talk about local things that are happening, something that we're starting to see more of is people protesting New York pause, protesting stay-at-home orders. So much so that even Cuomo started to address that a little bit yesterday, saying things like, nobody needs to protest things. He said here, hold on, let's see. Nobody disagrees that we want to get out of this situation. You don't need protests to convince anyone that in this country that we have to get back to work and we have to get the economy going and that we have to get out of our homes. Yet, just a couple days ago, he said things like, I never shut down the economy. The whole economy didn't shut down. We just shut down non-essential things. We tightened down the faucet a little bit, and then he's also said things that I think probably really upset people when he said the other day that, the people who are at home, they're the ones that have the luxury to stay home. Well, and he was saying this and referring to the frontline essential workers, like the medical workers, first responders who are out there still working. And he said, well, not everybody has the luxury to stay home. Kind of insinuating that all the people whose jobs were essentially taken away from them by his orders, who are feeling forced to stay home. Not that it's their voluntary decision, that the government has forced them to. He's now insinuating that that's a luxury. And I can tell you guys, at least from what I've seen on social media, people aren't feeling like it's a luxury being locked up in their homes, stuck with maybe their kids, maybe roommates that, I don't know, smell funny or, whatever else. People aren't looking at this as a luxury. And it sounds like there's some protests that are starting to mount and go together, and I know Kevin's got some more information on that.
Yeah, for sure. And again, for him to say that and not be, I think there's a lack of sensitivity on the side of people like Andrew Cuomo and others who are kind of sneering at these protests. When in fact, I get the energy behind them, right? Like if you have suddenly lost your ability to earn a living, that is terrifying. If you're not able to go, if you're losing your business that maybe you've worked decades for, that's awful. And it's not merely like, oh, I can't go to the movies now and that stinks and I'm bored. Like you're not able to earn a living. You're not able to, get access to the same services that you've always had. You're not able to get access to even some of the like kind of medically necessary services you have. Like I can't go to the chiropractor right now. It's not an emergency, but like, that was something that I liked doing because I get headaches when I don't go to the chiropractor. I mean, the fact is that is something that helps me. That's cut off. So it's not trivial to do that. So these protests have popped up kind of across the country. You've seen some in California. There's one in Buffalo yesterday. There's going to be one in Rochester. There's one in, I think, Philadelphia over the weekend too. And I got some mixed feelings about these protests because, on the one hand, all that stuff I said is true. That I think that we do need to find ways to get back to work. And I think Governor Cuomo is feeling the pressure of that. He really is feeling some of the pressure that we're starting to see. Like, okay, maybe we'll open up the boat ramps. All right, that was something that didn't need to close. All right, maybe we'll open up pool services. Okay, that's something. And it's like one by one. We're public golf courses was another, or not. No, public golf courses still closed. Private golf courses were able to open over the weekend. One by one, people are chipping away at like these arbitrary government restrictions, and that's what they feel like. It's like, well, all right, well, if this one thing is fine, then why not this other thing? Why can't I find a way to operate my business safely?
And I think that this is something that we've talked about a lot too, is the idea of, how arbitrary some of this government response has seemed, and even like the things that happened in Rochester recently, and we did a show about that too. Just about how these essential orders and these kind of like stay at home orders, you can't go to work orders, seem to be applied in ways that are inconsistent and make people feel as if they're very arbitrary.
Yeah. And as people start to feel that they're more arbitrary, they're gonna just go out and start breaking them, or you're gonna get protests like we're seeing here. And again, I have some mixed feelings about these protests, and my only reason why is that there's some that are interesting. Everyone's getting in cars, they're far apart, all this stuff, and they're trying to make sure they're not blocking traffic. I kind of get that. I kind of respect that. There's been some other ones, like the one in Detroit. I think they planned poorly, and they ended up blocking ambulance traffic in front of a hospital, which is bad. That is very, very bad. Don't do that. And I'm also seeing some of the folks who are putting protests together who are like, they wanted to defy the executive order for the mask thing, which again, I talked about this Friday. I don't like the executive order mandating that you wear masks everywhere. I think it has some downside consequences that shouldn't be dismissed so easily, but also it's probably a smart idea. And if you're going out and interacting with a lot of people, you should probably do things to keep you and your family safe. And I think it misses the message of the importance of opening the economy so that we have the wealth and the dynamism to be able to respond to coronavirus effectively. It's a totally different message to say, I want to just go out and I don't want to wear a mask and I want to be able to do what I want. I think liberty requires responsibility. It requires you to take ownership of your actions and understand the consequences not only for yourself, but for other people. And so
and if I can just jump in real quick, I think the mask thing, to me, is such a strange thing. I feel like people would be apt to wanting to wear masks, but I was surprised at how many people were so resistant to it. And some of that I attribute to the health organizations like WHO and CDC encouraging people to not wear masks unless they were sick, but then at the same time telling people that they won't have symptoms for the first 10 days. So how does somebody know if they're sick or not until they've had a week and a half of infecting people? I think people look to some of these organizations for advice and were given terrible, inconsistent advice, and now they don't want to wear masks because, well, the government keeps changing what's being said, which I think is a problem with inconsistency as well.
No, and Sean and I did a whole episode on the concept of the noble lie, where it kind of turns out a lot of these places, they lied in part to prevent a run on like N95 mask supplies. And now this is the dividend that it's playing, is that we're not sure like whether or not the experts are telling us the truth. And I think it's being skeptical of the experts is understandable. But at the same time, there's also plenty of studies to say like, hey, the masks do something to help, right? They do a little bit to help prevent the spread of disease, even if it's just a cloth mask. It doesn't necessarily protect you all that much, depending on the material that you're using, but it does do something to help you from spreading it to other people. And we're getting comments of like, we're sick of being told to obey the king, and they want to find out how far they can lock us down. I get that sentiment, right? And that's we're going to see more of that sentiment. The more the government tries to overreact and clamp down on our liberties, instead of telling us honestly what the situation is, giving us full information, and expecting us to act appropriately on that.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'll use Czech Republic as an example. The town where my wife grew up, the government came out and said, hey, we believe everybody should be wearing masks who's in public. That was their public advice. The advice was given out when they had a hot spot right next to them, so they actually ended up doing mandatory mask wearing, but most people are wearing them anyways. A lot of people are doing homemade masks. They now just celebrated 14 days straight of no new infections of COVID-19. So, it'll be a while before we see the effectiveness of what wearing the masks were in public, but the fact that their government at least said, hey, we think masks are going to be effective, start doing it, not many places can say they've got 14 straight days of no infections right now.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And, it's just, I want to put it out there that just because the government tells you to do something doesn't necessarily mean that thing is bad for you. If the government made licking doorknobs illegal tomorrow, don't go out and lick a doorknob. It's a weird sentiment I get, and I get the resistance, but sometimes they're right too. But the government destroyed the credibility in so many ways. It's hard to know
every once in a while a blind squirrel finds a nut. That's
exactly.
Best way to sum it up. So, all right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
The Rochester area franchise dealers are here to help their customers through these trying times. Service departments and collision centers are open. Vehicle sales are initially done remotely by telephone or electronic means until you're ready to visit the dealership and take delivery of your vehicle. Proper social distancing and cleaning protocols are followed at all dealerships. Please contact your preferred dealer to schedule sales or service appointments for a safe check-in, drop-off, or pickup process. Be safe and know the franchise dealers are here for you, Rochester.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, guys, this is Andrew Hollister. You're listening to Radio Free New York. Welcome back to the show. We've got Kevin Wilson here.
Yeah.
And we are now kind of switching gears just a little bit to elective surgeries.
Yeah, let's get to some of those comments, though.
Let's hit some of the comments first. Yeah, go ahead. What do you want to read, Kevin?
Yeah, Valerie says, "Hey Andrew, put your pants on so we can see you."
Yeah. All right. So truth be told, I am wearing pants. But I just, my internet was really flaky yesterday. We lost connection midway through the show. I didn't want to push the bandwidth too hard. So if we can get the bandwidth to even out, maybe tomorrow we'll be back on with a live video. But for now, you can just see my beautiful headshot there. It's a image representing a pre-quarantine version of myself.
We all need to know what you look like now.
Yep. Actually, I'll be honest with you guys. I did shave up, trim up a little bit today, and I will neither confirm nor deny, but I may have found myself a black market haircut. So
Oh, no.
I'll just leave it at that.
Wow. Just diving into disobeying the government. Can't believe you, Andrew.
Well, I won't confirm or deny, Kevin, but it's all alleged as far as I'm concerned.
Allegedly. I understand. I'm getting close.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I tell you
man,
what,
it's-
though, hairstylists and barbers and anybody that gets a license from the state is apparently have been threatened and told that if the state finds out that they're cutting hair, doing that stuff, they will have their license revoked and be fined like $2,000 or something like that.
I mean, that's basically the only reason the state issues licenses is so they can take them away if you cross them.
Yeah. Well, and to get your money. They want
And to
both.
get your money.
Yeah,
No,
for
it's
sure.
definitely part of that too. And I know that like my barber is pushing out petitions to try to let everyone operate starting May 1st. And he's saying like, well, he can wear a mask. He can ask his clients to wear a mask. There are ways to do it that are relatively safe. We can figure it out. Smart people are able to make this work. Why not let them have their businesses be open?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that the overwhelming majority of businesses out there, with just a few exceptions, hair salons, tattoo artists, and chiropractors are probably the first three that come to mind. Most businesses, even if they're quote unquote non-essential, can operate without anybody ever touching each other. You can still have that plexiglass barrier up. Or I went to the post office the other day. They don't even have plexiglass. They just have plastic sheeting hanging from the ceiling. It looks super like sketchy and like a 10-year-old put together. But that's what they're doing. I mean, if that's what the federal government is doing, I can guarantee you that private industry can do a much better job.
Yeah, people are figuring out. I mean, like restaurants have figured it out too, right? Like I'm still able to go get ice cream now. Like you pay with a credit card over the phone ahead of time, and you go there and you shout out your name, and they leave it on a picnic table, and boom, I have milkshakes.
Wait. Where are you going to get ice cream?
Netson's.
That's
So Netson's in Irondequoit. That's it.
all right. I need
They're
to
my
go get me
go-to
some
ice cream place. We walk the dog up there all the time. But yeah, no, I mean, they figured out a safe way to do it, and great, more power to them. And I'm trying to support their business where I can. Restaurants have figured it out, breweries have figured it out, and I'm sure other businesses can too. There are millions of people working in these industries that want to keep themselves and their customers safe. Why not let them do that?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I tell you, I mean, a few of the other things that I thought about the other day. So for those of you listening to the show, you probably don't know this. I've been doing, we'll call it like a little bit of a home renovation project. I'm doing all the work myself. And, there's dust flying around and paint and fumes and those sort of things. So, I go to the hardware store and I noticed there's no masks on the shelf because obviously people are buying them at, as quickly as they possibly can. It made me think of people who are carpenters and painters and other people that they expose themselves to that type of environment every day. And that stuff isn't available to them. So their lungs are filling up with all this awful stuff that certainly can't be good for them long term at all.
No, yeah. So hopefully you got all your respirators and masks ahead of time. Otherwise, I mean, like you can use like a buff or something to kind of cover up your face, but that doesn't filter out a lot of the fine dust particles.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I suspect these guys, I mean, I've been reusing the same mask for a while now, and I don't think it even lets air in or out anymore. It's so clogged up, so I can't imagine, like, the guys who do that full time, they probably got to cycle through masks, every day or every couple of days before they got to toss them. So I imagine a lot of these people are exposing themselves to stuff they normally wouldn't, which is going to cause other long-term health effects that just aren't good.
Yeah, but luckily production for that type of stuff is going up a lot. There's a lot of incentive for those types of things to happen. So we're seeing masks from your Etsy stuff to industrial grade dust mask, which also help with that type of stuff, rise pretty quickly in response to market demand. And I don't think there's enough time to go into my thing about price gouging, but we shouldn't do it. It's a bad idea.
Shouldn't do price gouging, or shouldn't protect from price gouging?
Shouldn't prohibit the market from working. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a better way. I think I know where you're going with that. I mean, Uber has surge pricing, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a similar concept for sure.
I mean, and it's like as production ramps up, like some of these hardware stores, if they were allowed, what they could do is say, okay, your first pack of 10 masks is going to be the normal price. Your second pack of 10 masks is going to be $50, right? Like just, provide an incentive to not hoard everything, and that's a way to address that issue. If it's really that valuable to you, you'll go get it. But
yeah, no, I agree. I have a friend who makes a living buying and selling things. That's literally all he does. He finds things, maybe he refurbishes them, maybe he doesn't, and resells them. And occasionally I'll find something and I'll be like, oh, I think this is worth something. It seems this and that. And his response has always been, it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. And it's usually, I'll be like, hey, look at this thing. It's selling for, $500 on eBay. This guy's selling it, for $100. Like, but it's actually worth 500. And he's like, oh, it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. If nobody ever actually buys that $500 item, like it's not really worth $500. So the similar concept can be switched and changed here where, if markets were allowed to actually operate, people would buy things at the value that they're truly worth. And this isn't just products. This isn't just masks. We're talking about masks today. This extends to everything. I mean, even labor, which, could be like 4 full episodes talking about government intervention with labor costs. But yeah, cost of product, allowing markets to fluctuate as supply and demand fluctuates. I think people are scared of these things, but in the end, I think they're actually really good things.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to have access to this stuff than not have access to this stuff, right? So by allowing prices to work a bit more effectively, you will be able to be more likely to get this stuff.
Yep. No, I agree. And also, I think the government, when they try to step in to limit purchase of quantities, like it's really unnecessary, because along the same lines, the stores started doing that anyways when things like paper towel and toilet paper were running out.
They did do that. Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
So government's always trying to answer or solve problems that don't exist by making more problems.
Or solving the problems that they created in the first place.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. Tomorrow, I've got a guest coming in who's going to talk about their version of a protest here in New York State. We'll be back, same time, same place tomorrow.